Hey, everybody. Thank you for waiting. I hope everybody is well. I'm going to get right to it without any further ado. Right here is Economic Development 101, and I'll make sure that it is enlarged for you so that you can view it appropriately. And once more. And there are a number of different definitions from different organizations and people about what Economic Development 101 is. But the one that sticks out for me, given my experience and given what has gone on both in my life with economic development and now, is this definition, which I'm going to make sure is enlarged even further so you can see it easier once and see if that helps better. It does. And then I'm going to scroll a bit more. So, yeah. What is the best example of economic development? And it says it right here. It says government spending presents an economic development example. When a government makes work of building a new railway, consumers and especially companies in the private sector will benefit tremendously. This captures the essence of economic development. And the idea basically is simple that good economic development, is a public private partnership which calls for what? Government spending. It says it right here. I didn't underline government spending in this. All you have to do to confirm what I'm saying is just type Economic Development 101 in Google, scroll down and look at the results. This author here outlined in blue government spending. The point is that government has to spend money. And I say that because in the context of Las Vegas versus Oakland, in each of the current examples where sports organizations have left, what was a driving factor? Government spending in a timely fashion, not, oh, we'll get to it one of these days. It'll happen down the pike when we're ready. I've got a vacation to take. Or, hey, I'm in Hawaii with my kids and they're on the beach, and I'm going to give you this presentation. But let me tell you about my vacation first. And let me tell you about how wonderful it is to be here and how much of a dream it is. And tell me if you can guess who said that. Okay. In fact, I'll even throw in a bon mot, a special video shout out to the person who gets the answer, because an actual person did say that. And it's an actual person connected with a Howard Terminal effort, or who was. Big hint. Okay. So who said that? Who said, oh, I'm so great. I'm so happy to be here in Hawaii with my kids. They're on the beach. And let me tell you about how wonderful it is to be here. Basically, before the person gets to their presentation. Who did that? Okay. Who did that? All right. Thank you. Jay Belton got it. Molly Mabron, the project manager for Howard Terminal. In other words, hey, I care more about me. Yep, that's number 2. Okay. I care more about me and what I'm doing than what you need or what I need to tell you that has to do with something other than my life. Okay. The big difference between Oakland and Las Vegas is that in the case of Oakland, you have people who don't care to use government spending to help business. And arguably people. It's like pulling teeth to get Oakland to do that. But what did we see in both contexts? In Mr. Adelson's context, we saw Mr. Adelson use his considerable political pull and money to get $750 million in a bond issue generated subsidy for the construction of what we now call Allegiant Stadium, which is now the new home of what was once called the Oakland Raiders and is now called the Las Vegas Raiders. Government spending. So class, what's the rule? Government spending. Government spending is the rule. You must spend money to make money. How many times have we heard that? Government spending presents an economic development example. When the government makes work of building, let's play games here, a new stadium. Okay? Companies in the private sector, sports teams will benefit tremendously. This captures the essence of economic development. You see what I did there? You see what I did there? All right? You see what I did there? Government economic development is about spending. It is about spending money so the city can make money. That's what Oakland does not do. What happened in the context with the Raiders? Oakland was quite literally playing catch up. First, the mayor wanted to act like, well, it's not important for us to have a subsidy. Then she went from that to at the last minute, literally saying, we can provide a loan of $700 million. This was last minute. That was at the behest of Fortress Investments. To which I had said to Drew McKnight of Fortress, don't do that. And the reason is, first of all, it will be seen as reactive, A. B, it will be seen as you not taking your original economic development plan seriously. Stick with your plan. Sell your plan. But they didn't do that. The minute they went off script, they screwed up. It wasn't that they were going to win, but going off script made it worse because it made it look like they didn't have confidence in what they were doing, and they were quite literally grasping at straws, which, by the way, is what they were doing. Okay? All right? Grasping at straws. Okay? Grasping at straws is what they were doing. I'll get to your questions first, but I want everybody to pay attention to this because other people would just talk and pontificate. But this is about professional economic development, how Oakland doesn't do it. All right? Government spending. You can go all through these examples. Some of them are a bit more esoteric than is necessary, but find ones that certainly apply to what I'm talking about. I'm not going to do that entirely here today, but I'm going to shrink this and enlarge that and say to you folks that the main problem in Oakland is, now let's take Howard Terminal. Oakland stood to gain $1,600,000,000, assuming comparatively cheap $2 billion in assessed value to start with, which would consist of the Athletics' new stadium, which I expect to come in at 1.5 billion even before they started with. They started at 1 billion. I thought, I looked at that. I said, that's $1.5 billion easily, probably closer to 2. Okay. You always have to factor that in. And then I said to whoever wouldn't listen, you need to add a $500 million set of structures so that we can reach 2 billion. Others would look at it differently instead and say, we need to expand the map. But the problem with expanding the map in the political environment that is down there is, well, you get into just that, the political environment. Other landowners not understanding tax increment financing and talking with people who represent the city who also don't understand tax increment financing by the admission of the mayor. Then turning around and saying, well, gee, because of what they said, and the fact they don't have the credibility, certainty, or capacity to deliver on it, I don't want it done. All right? That's the danger. So Dave Cobble says, hey, look, we need development partners. The city should have helped him find development partners. The city didn't do that. All this needed to be done in a fast, timely fashion. When I was intern with the city of Oakland in economic development, fresh out of grad school in the fall 1987, I was given a task of moving pipes that were stored on what we now call the zone offices across from the Coliseum, but it was then owned by E.B. Mudd. This was Ezra Rapport, yes, the architect of the Raiders deal, who gave me that assignment. I did my work, folks, in one day. I got a broker. We got into the broker's Jeep. We toured the city. We found 7 different sites. I wrote a report on them and I gave them. I was done. It doesn't take long to find alternatives. If that assignment were given to me and I needed to find organizations to work with, given the magnitude of the project, organizations that would team with Dave Cobble, I would do what I did for Jerry Brown for the 10K project. I held a developer symposium. I had a gigantic map of downtown Oakland, showed all the parcels that were available for them to purchase, invited them on Saturday, did the third Saturday of the February of 1999, and we had what I called a party in the afternoon at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, where people were able to get information about the parcels they were interested in. Everybody had a little pamphlet about the area, and they had a visual way. I was able to show everybody the whole of downtown without even leaving my office, literally. Okay. This is how you do it. All right. Did the city do that for the A's? No. Did the city do that for businesses that were related to the A's, like bringing Schnitzer in and saying, hey, look, we know that you're here and they are there, and here are these problems. Here's how we're going to mitigate them without going to court? No. All right. What I'm talking to you about, folks, is economic development 101. That's how it's done. And the reason why I'm emphasizing this and pushing this is because A's fans, you can't reverse the clock. Unless, of course, maybe you're the Flash. And do it. Well, what should have been done then, it's too late. The window was there. Why? Because the city didn't realize for the second time that it was in a real competition. The city of Oakland didn't take seriously the athletics overtures first with Portland. Remember Portland? Everybody forgot about Portland. Remember how Portland literally shifted to Las Vegas? The Athletics were looking over their shoulder the entire time. Why? Because they expected the city to screw up. Not they, but Major League Baseball. Why? Because there was the example of the Raiders, because the city had done nothing to send the message that, hey, folks, we're open for business. We didn't do what happened there as a matter of course. We're better, and here's how. The city didn't do any debriefing. The city did no introspection. The city did no communicating to the public that it was better. And Libby did the same thing, and I told her not to do that. And I said this in video form. I said it in text, and I said it in blog posts. Do not use yourself as the face. Why? Economic development number 1. This is Zinni's economic development 101 additional. Okay? Do not use your face as an elected official. You get people out there who are the specialists to take the flack for you. So you have your project manager. You put your project manager out there. If you don't have confidence that your project manager can do it, if you don't have confidence that your project manager is not going to tell other people, well, by the way, I'm in Hawaii with my kids, okay, and all that. If you don't have that kind of confidence in your project manager, guess what? Get another one, okay? Okay, get another one. All right? I know a lot of you here don't like to hear that it's too late, so you'll go someplace else to let them, um, mix you a soda, if you will. And that's not me. I'm not in the soda mixing business. I'm in the truth business. And the truth is this: that's not happening. The A's are not coming back. The A's were serious about it. So the question is, what do we do? We, with a W. What do we do? We go after a team. We do, for the first time in Oakland's history, what Oakland has never, say for one example or two, done before. Go after a business that was in another city and quite literally yank it away. I did it with council member Dick Spees when I worked for Elihu. We yanked Cirque du Soleil away from San Francisco. Okay? Away from San Francisco. That's what we did. That was in 1996. We came close to yanking away the Super Bowl from San Francisco later with Robert Bob. That was in 2000. You do the matter and a building with the understanding that building an economy of a city oftentimes means that somebody else loses what they have and you gain. Oakland has been at the opposite end of that. So with that, I made my point. Now I'm going to get to your comments. If you were a betting man, what would you bet? How much? Let me go back here. All right. Okay. We got that. MLB owners to vote yes or no. Well, they have to. What's your opinion? Well, they have to. If you were a betting man, what would you think? Bet how much on what? That's not clear to me. Hey, I'm going to do something I haven't done in quite a while. If you have video and want to say something on video, go here. All right. With that link, just copy that link and paste it. And you fire up your camera and come in and say your piece rather than just hearing me drone on about what you're saying. Okay. So here we are. The A's are not staying in Oakland. Okay. That's not happening. The A's are not staying in Oakland. I mean, I know that's what you want to hear, but I am telling you, the Athletics are gone. The other people talking haven't been through this before. They don't know what the anatomy of relocation looks like. I do. And by the way, the difference between the National Football League and relocation and the Major League Baseball and relocation is that the National Football League had a set of relocation guidelines, franchise guidelines for the home team. It was a contract. You had to follow that contract if you were going to relocate. Guess what, folks? Major League Baseball has no such thing. You can't say, well, gee, I'll refer to the NFL rules. That's not how it works. Okay? That's not how it works. Now, let me come down here. I'd say right now it'll be a little 50-50. They're going to vote. I mean, I don't understand why this is an issue. I don't know where that's coming from, but it's stupid. That's going to happen. Okay. I'm excited if the A's move to Las Vegas. Can't wait to see. Well, they're going to move. The process wouldn't have gotten this far if Manfred thought it was 50-50. I don't know who's coming up with that. Okay. But again, I'll say this: whoever's coming up with that, it's a red herring. All right. It is a red herring. Take the red pill, everybody. The Athletics are leaving. That's why Shang Tao's idea of making baseball pay by giving Oakland an expansion permission is stupid. It assumes that they want to stay. They don't. No one wants to be in Oakland. Oakland is messed up. And the more Shang talks, the worse it gets. You understand? The more Mayor Tao talks, the worse it gets. Because she is making herself the poster child of loss. She had an early opportunity not to do that. She could have done things in a really different way. She could have followed up. Hey, she called me a year ago, but wanted to make it in secret. She certainly could have called me when she got elected and said, I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to work with Zinni even though I didn't treat him right. But she didn't. But she came to me and asked me for help because she didn't understand tax increment financing or enhanced infrastructure development financing legislation and how it works or its history. She came to me. She wanted to do a citywide, that means the entire city of Oakland, tax increment financing district zone. That's what she wanted to do. Okay. Now, have you noticed how everyone in the city is scurried away from doing tax increment financing, even though you have AB 464 Mullen that was signed into law in 2021? And what would that do? But if it was passed, and it was by the legislature, it would allow you as a municipality to fashion a tax increment financing zone and then use the revenue from that to help small businesses that were hurt by the pandemic. That is right there in the legislation, folks. And yet, so think about that really, really hard. And then think of the number of times you've heard about Oakland businesses closing because of the pandemic or some pandemic related issue like vandalism. And you think about what I'm telling you, and you ask yourself, why the blankety blank hasn't Oakland used it, or for that matter, San Francisco? And then you ask yourself in the next question, what's going on? And then remember, the economic development in 101 is what? It's government spending. This is an example of government deliberately not spending to help you as a business person. And business person comes in all shapes and sizes. Some of them work out of their homes. Some of them have big warehouses. Others work out of vans, but they're still in business. Okay? Think about what I'm telling you. And if you're not disgusted, you're not human. If you're not disgusted, you're not human. Because I'm giving you the heart blood reason why Oakland is in trouble. Its government doesn't know how to unlock the money, or doesn't want to unlock the money to get it to people. Let's focus on that for a second with respect to the homeless. It's always, well, if we give them money, they'll spend it on drugs. We don't know that. There are people who want to get better. But those folks out there are also robbing people, which means what? They don't have the money. Let me get back to your comments, okay? And so you need reassurance that they're definitely leaving. They're leaving. Period. End of story. Okay. Period. End of story. Jay Bellin says, "Here, your hope. Hold out your two hands in front of you, and blank in one hand, and close both your eyes, and a fist, and open both hands. What do you have more of? A wet hand? Yikes! Why has Oakland? What has Oakland done to you, my guy? Because no lie, every time your page comes around my feed, I click on your page, listen to it for a second, you're bashing Oakland. Because Oakland's not right. That's why. I don't know if you're a guy or a girl. Okay. You tell me this. Why? I want you to tell me. And hey, look, you have the link. Come on, and show your face and let's talk. Why don't you show your face? Why do you use like 4 different accounts to make the same point? I've been keeping track. Okay. And don't say you haven't. All right. So why don't you come on and, act like a human being and talk? So this is Rich, all right? And this may very well be a person who doesn't even live in Oakland. Oakland has awful crime rates. People are getting smashed and grabbed all the time. The neighborhoods are looking okay. Mine looks okay until I saw something the other day that I'm not going to repeat on here. That was extremely distressing. So I think everything was good until I saw that one thing. And I went back to thinking, no. So you tell me why Oakland doesn't deserve to be bashed. All right. And you tell me of a time when Oakland was not worse or was worse. You tell me that. I'm waiting and I'm listening. If I see your face down here lighting up, I'll bring you in. Show me that you have the courage of your convictions to come on and express it, because I say you don't. You don't. All right. Now, okay. Thank you, Zinni. You made me feel a whole lot better, my friend. Truly appreciate your inside input. It's not me, it's the process. All right, folks. McFlies, wake up. Oakland Athletics are leaving. They're leaving. All right, they're leaving. Okay. So, like I said, if you want to talk about this, come on back. Come on on. If you're somebody that used to vlog with us or somebody, or even still does, and you don't have the courage to say it, forget it. Come and argue with me. Okay. Oakland is losing the Athletics. I went through this once with the Raiders. We were supposed to make sure this never happened again. Now we have twice. There's an old saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That is Oakland. I repeat, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That's Oakland. Okay. Do you have inside scoop with Dave Cobble about a second interview? I talk to them. I try all the time. They haven't responded to my request for whatever reason, but I keep trying. I think one reason has to do with the fact that when I talk to Dave, our conversations are very layered and detailed. And there might be somebody out there that's saying, gee, every time you talk to Zinni, you say something that we would prefer you not say, but you're not aware at the time because of it's a highly technical issue. Now, I'm not trying to do that to him, but my background is technical. I'm the person that you hire to, well, run the A's project, run the city's project. I am at that level. I'm not concerned with whether or not you like it or think it's true. The simple fact of the matter is, I have enough of a background such that it is true. And if you want to know that's really true, just hire me and see what happens. Okay? Because the problem with Oakland right now is you have people out there, you have A's fans who think they know. You have no idea what guys are faced with at all. None. Zero. For example, you take it as gospel that Rebecca Kaplan or our great at large council member or the mayor says something and that's gospel. And you don't even realize that they're not the people who are supposed to be talking about this sort of thing. But you listen to them because you see them on television, because you're mesmerized by television when you should be paying attention to the information that's out there and hearing information that you don't like. I learned a ton from the Raiders issue. A ton from getting down the weeds, from digging deep and realizing that what Las Vegas was doing was going to win. And it's also what the NFL wanted. Because there's something else that Las Vegas has that all of you just consistently forget to this point. Do you want to know what that one thing is? I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I won't do that to you. I'll save you. I'll save you the stress. It's called sports gambling. Again, California has not passed sports gambling legislation. That is an extra $10 million a year minimum in the pocket of the Athletics. Minimum. That could buy a player or two. Okay. It could, let's say, let's consider the free agent that the Athletics spent 15 million on last year. Could have paid for, yeah, 2/3 of that, okay, by sports gambling in the Nevada slash Las Vegas parlance, but not in Oakland. Plus, it's more expensive in Oakland. So you're getting squeezed in two ways. You have been robbed of an extra layer of revenue generation because you can't do sports gambling, and it's more expensive. And the government's not responsive, which is three layers. Three. Okay. The government can't even respond to people getting shot in the street. So, from that perspective, it should come as no surprise that it consistently let the athletics wait for things that needed to be done. So, what did the A's do? The same that a number of people who were tired of getting knocked up did. They moved. Economic Development 101, folks. Accept my challenge and come on in and talk. You say Oakland doesn't need to be bashed? Oakland needs to be bashed. Okay? Oakland's doing a lousy job. Oakland's doing a lousy job. I'll say it one more time. Oakland's doing a lousy job. If you have a problem with that, that's too bad. The best way to fix it, you know what? Get them to do better. Get them to follow my rules. If you think I'm being arrogant, you're right. I am. Because I know the answer. If you're having a hard time with that, that's too bad. Okay? There's somebody around us that needs to be Jack Bull determined to tell the truth and point the direction where we need to go, the true north. And stop waiting on people that, don't care. Something else Oakland has a tendency to do. Yeah, I'm being direct, I'm being deliberate, and I'm being harsh. We have screwed this up. Aren't you tired? So you think the A's will play in Summerlin or stay in Oakland for another year? Well, next year is the lease is up, so that's settled. Will they stay beyond that? Coin flip, okay? Total coin flip. Here's why. Because separate, and here's what brings Shang Tao's speech into another light. Right now, the Coliseum is in the black. But that's with the athletics. Without the athletics, the picture starts to look different. It starts to look like, hey, they're closer to zero over time, not immediately. The Coliseum has had a number of events. Now, one could say, oh, don't worry about it because those spaces will be filled in with something else. But not necessarily. You want to know why? It's for the same reason that the Oakland Coliseum lost the Oakland Panthers, which became the Bay Area Panthers. The fourth team the city has lost, professional team. Why did that happen? Because a little buzzard, and I'm not going to name the name, let it be known all over the Bay Area to different producers and then nationally that Oakland had a more expensive venue cost than its neighbors to the south in San Jose. Yep. Trying to poison the water. This wasn't anything having to do with the athletics either. This is like major league inside baseball stuff, but it didn't come from baseball, okay? It's a competition, folks, that Oakland doesn't know how to win because it doesn't know how to play. So you're going to tell me, oh, those spaces will be filled by something else. And I'm going to tell you that, hey, you know what? Given the reputation that Oakland has, even in the Bay Area, that's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. In fact, it's more false than true. Understand? It's more false than true. Okay? Or do they change the name? They're not changing the name. Get that out of your head. That's not even happening. Okay? Will the A's ever relocate again in my lifetime? What do you think, Zenny? Or is this the final move? It's the final move. And the reason is very simple. they are in a situation where they will have a lot more money for a lot less headache. If the city had done its job in Howard Terminal, the athletics would have realized an equal measure of money out of Howard Terminal Ballpark because the structure would have been different because they owned it. Okay. Because they own the revenue stream. The similarity between Howard Terminal and Las Vegas is that in both cases, the athletics own the revenue stream. All right. In both cases, the athletics own the revenue stream. So there's no raison d'etre for them to leave. And then think about where they're at with the Raiders. They are at the ground level of a new wave of population growth in Las Vegas. Yes, I know you're going to talk to me about the water problem. I agree with you. Yes, I hear you about the transportation and everything. I agree with you. But after a dip of people, they lost. Would you believe they actually lost 42,319 people during the pandemic? Did Las Vegas? Yeah. Okay. Now they're on the upswing. They actually replaced that and went, and then it went up. Okay. Oh, not a problem. Hey, where's your favorite place to go for a steak dinner in Las Vegas? Thank you. Uh, Now, let me get to some other related matters here since I already talked about economic development. And I'm just going to have a little word association fun here. Word news association fun. And talk about this, okay? Here is where we are. Here's the other problem, A's fans, and I'm going to focus in on this because the first thing that's popped into my face. Oakland's lead negotiator for A's Howard Terminal Ballpark plan steps down. That's from Sarah Ravini in the San Francisco Chronicle. Actually, she got it wrong. The lead negotiator was Steve Kawa. Yeah, Steve. Yeah, Steve Kawa, who I knew many moons ago when he was the aide to San Francisco Mayor Frank Jordan at the time when Kent Sims was Frank's economic development direct head. Kent was a great guy. Loved having lunch with him. Anyway, fun times with that group. At any rate, Steve Kyle was the lead negotiator, not Molly Mabry. And the question is, why did they bring him in? What I'm saying is nothing personal against Ms. Mabry. I don't know her. I'm focused on one thing, the job that was done, and something else that's related. Look, in a perfect world, she should take the flack. She is the project manager. Project managers take flack. It's not for the mayor to shield their project manager. It's the reverse. The mayor can say, oh, you know what? I hired that person and, boy, I got all these accolades that were brought to me about what they did back east and yada, yada, yada. And it just didn't work out here in the Oakland context. That's called CIA, right? That's what a smart politician does. Just saying. That's what happens when ego gets to you. It reduces your IQ. Okay? Dramatically. I know those of you who are watching. How you doing? He says, I think around Halloween time this evening. For what? Oh, when the final vote. It'll be on their time. But let me you know what? I apologize for that answer. It's too flip. Let me be blunt about where we're at. the Athletics submitted their application. Now it has to be reviewed. So I would think the review process, questions and follow up, I would say within another month. Okay. Because the Athletics have it in. Um, Anything longer than that, and you would have to just find out what other delays there are. But I think another month is a reasonable amount of time just off the top of my head. Okay. 2 months would be weird, but let me put it this way. They're not going to let the Athletics sit and wait a long time. They're not going to treat the Athletics like the city of Oakland treated Ronnie Lott. And I was there when the Oakland City Council made Ronnie Lott, who showed up at 5 o'clock in the afternoon for an item on the agenda, wait until 10:30 at night deliberately to prove this is what with Lynette Gibson McElhaney as council president at the time, heading the council. Okay. For that meeting, she deliberately made Ronnie Lott and Marcus Allen and the other members of the Lott group wait that long, rather than taking them up front, as reflective of the fact that they are trying to save the Raiders for Oakland, as reflective of the fact that it is the largest at the time economic development project in Oakland. Did that matter? No. That's how Oakland is, okay? Remember I was talking about economic development 101? So what is the cousin of governments not wanting to spend for business? It's the government treating the business like crap. That's what it is. I've lived this. I've seen it. We didn't do that when I worked for Elihu. If Elihu were the mayor now, with the attitude he had then, he would have been cussing everybody up and down. All right. Of course, they would have said that he was verbally abusive and all that stuff. But my point is, Elihu would have lost his temper, and rightly so. Now people are afraid to lose their tempers. They allow people to screw up. Oh, it's okay. It's not okay. Government is responsible for the lives of people, for the mental health of kids who want to go to the Coliseum and see their stars, who would love to see a brand new facility. They can say that they were there as kids for the opening of. You know how kids are. I remember. I know how I'm still a kid in a lot of ways. You are too. We're excited by these things. They get what they call it, the dopamine levels, whatever it is. They get us going. They make us want to be a part of the city. They make us happy, if for a day. Think about it. Has the Oakland government tried to make its cities happy for a day? Has the Oakland government even thought in that way? The answer is no. And so you want to say to me, excuse me, why I'm bashing Oakland? And you're afraid to come on my show and talk with me about it? And you want to hide behind a name and all this rather than explaining your real name or telling other people? Which I find out more often than not anyway. So, hey, big deal. Look, take the red pill, buck up, talk. It's good to debate. Argument is great. Okay. Let's see here. Think about Halloween or Thanksgiving time. Eric says, Eric, you need to be on here. Good afternoon, sir. I salute you. Eric asks, what is Oakland actually doing this minute on this issue? It seems like nothing's going on but lip service. That's it. Eric, that is the best question of this series. Welcome, everybody who just walked in. Eric Sterling, longtime listener, asked the tough questions, although I give Rick Gray A+ for the toughest questions. But at any rate, he asks, What is Oakland actually doing this minute on this issue? It seems like nothing is going on but lip service. What they do is they analyze the situation, and that's putting it, kindly, from a very sinister perspective. How can we turn around the situation to make the Athletics look bad? The simple fact that someone would think that way means that the outcome will be that the person you're trying, or the organization that you're trying to make look bad, will not want to work with you. That's not economic development 101, folks. Okay? That's stupid. You saying I'm being harsh about it? Ooh. The words that I use to describe that action pale into insignificance when you realize the money that's lost because of such behavior. You don't run a city like that. It's time to step down. If Mayor Tao cannot bring herself to make the really tough decisions, which means a change in her approach and behavior, then she needs to consider finding another line of work. This has gone on long enough. In a number of ways, Oakland has more than failed, and it is wrong to ask the citizens to be patient, to deal with it, to say nothing, to act like there's nothing wrong when it tasks their intellect, when it punishes their sensibilities, when it sadly diminishes their hopes under a sea of silence because they're afraid to say anything for fear of retribution by a government who should not be seeking retribution against anyone. Yet this administration does that, folks. That's what Mayor Tao's administration does. That is what they do. They figure out mean things to say about you. People to hire to hack your websites because they don't like what you say. They fashion an enemies list. True story. And then when they're caught having it, they don't admit to it. These are not good people. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so I don't care who you are out there. I understand some people have a job to do because their assignment editors say, you've got to do this. They have the toughest job of all because, and you mark my words, you will come back to me, as a number of people have done over this entire affair regarding the Raiders and the Athletics and in the city of Oakland, and say, Zinni, you were right. And something else, folks, this is something not to be right about. It's tearfully sad. You understand? It's tearfully sad. No, I have no intention of crying at all. Stadium 51. Absolutely. That's Ben Garcia. Thank you, Last Granted. Best information podcast online. Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you for your videos, and you're always learning something new from you. Hey, that made my day. Thank you. I'm happy to be of service. Thank you so very much. We love Zinni. We love Zinni. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, a super chat would help, by the way, folks. Or seeking investors for Zinni 62 Media as well. Keep the fires burning by throwing, wood into the fire, right? The great Ronnie Lott was treated like any other business owner resident in Oakland, pushed aside and ignored. He was. I think I actually have a photograph of Ronnie I put up on Facebook when he was there. That's on my other Twitter account, the one that was suspended because I was accused of having multiple Twitter accounts, to which I thought, really? Yeah. Oh, yeah, multiple Twitter accounts. And so I thought, okay. Multiple Twitter accounts, right? Twitter accounts. All right. Multiple Twitter accounts, all right? So, okay. multiple Twitter accounts used to have this kind of thing in the section there. All right. So I was accused of having multiple Twitter accounts, right? Take a look at this, folks. Dun, 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 dun. Hold on a second. What does it say, folks? It says, all right. It says, and it reads, creating and managing multiple Twitter accounts. That's by Twitter. Twitter telling you that, okay? They've been trying to silence me for a long time. The question is who the they is, but hey, look, Jack Dorsey, because he knew this was going on, and maybe Chris Sacca, I don't know. The question is why. And I think it's because they may very well be taking their direction from somebody who is in that government lockbox who's local is saying, we don't want Zinni to talk because he's making us look bad. I'm not trying to make anybody look bad. You make yourself look better by improving. You take criticism, respond to the criticism. That's how you get better. You respond to the criticism by changing yourself. You don't respond to the criticism by trying to shoot the messenger. But that is what they have been trying to do with me. Okay. Period. All right. Creating and managing multiple Twitter accounts. This is Twitter, folks. It's the help desk. Look at what does it read? How to manage multiple accounts. Ooh. Okay. All right. If you have more than one Twitter account, it is simple to add and access them it just tells you what to do, how to add them, right? Okay. How to log in, everything else. Can you merge them? Okay. And then share this article. All right. There's no do's and don'ts. Look at that, folks. But yet, this is what I was accused of. Well, you have multiple Twitter accounts, Mr. Abraham. Well, yeah. And hey, I've made videos about this. I've shown this when Elon Musk became, owner. I said, hey, Elon, since you're giving all your right wing friends their, suspended Twitter accounts back, can I have mine? Crickets. Okay. They know I'm out there. Why else would they take that kind of action? When Takaki Matai was their global head, and I knew him, okay, they left me alone. All right. They left me alone, man. All right. I met him at CES Las Vegas, okay? All right. And great guy. But then inexplicably, he left. What they did, I don't know, and I don't know why, but he left. And 2 months later, oh, he's got multiple Twitter accounts. Oh, gotcha. Onward. Okay. I'm not trying to hide that. Oops, excuse me. Face facts. Zinni, did you see Marital answer the problems? Now she wants to stick it to the A's by going up on the lease. Well, that's what we did with the Raiders. We made the Raiders pay a premium. That was actually Scott McKibben that did that. The Raiders, however, in that instance, with the city of Oakland, the Coliseum, not the city of Oakland, the Coliseum, since it's a separate entity, really had a nice deal where they're paying at one point $735,000 for rent net, and the Coliseum was losing a lot of money. So Scott said, "Hey, since we're talking about a new lease for you and you're leaving. Why don't you help me out by this? Is how Scott did it. He didn't do it the way Shang did it. He said, why don't you help me out? Me personally. Why don't you help me by making me look good for the board by paying more money to us so I can bring us, into the black. That's how Scott McKibben, the president of the Bay Area Panthers, the former executive director for the Coliseum, handled it. The guy that was psychologically bullied for getting elected officials, or I should say, some elected officials, not getting them tickets when they wanted them, but making sure they got their tickets. Okay. I've heard, just standing there, the side conversations going on around me where, as the JPA meeting was coming to a close, like Scott Haggerty, when he was the Alameda County supervisor, saying to Mark Davis, hey, I'll come down and play golf with you in Palm Springs. Nothing wrong with that, but hey, if you have that kind of a cozy relationship with him, why don't you make sure that he's not leaving Oakland? All right. Okay. Just saying. I can go on and on and on. Remember, I was talking about to start about this, talking about economic development 101, right? Government spending, how government spending wasn't happening. But you know where it is happening? Well, we just saw it. Mayor Towles sought a raise for herself 6 months into the job, a job that she won by 677 votes. That's it. 677 votes. That's it. But the reason why you have so many people who don't want to call it is representative of the fact that Oakland does not have a giant, healthy, thriving, truly private sector. We have a giant, somewhat healthy, somewhat thriving, most of the time not really, nonprofit sector. And what do nonprofit organizations depend on more than private organizations for their wealth? Government spending, including Oakland. So you have all of these folks out there in nonprofit Oakland who are beholden to the government. They don't want to say anything. Bad. So they let the unions do the talking. Okay. The mayor demanding the A's leave their name behind in Oakland shows yeah, that's not happening. And the idea that A's fans think this is good in the media, well, that side, or the Chronicle thinks it's good. I think it's awful. Yeah. Las Vegas perfected the art of the mice industry. They did. Combining big conventions with Major League Sports, Vegas Mark says. Major League Sports, entertainment, gambling shows equates an economic success buffet. Vegas is case in point. Not to mention, they love to hand out champagne at events. Have you ever noticed that? Boy, I'm telling you something. If you don't drink, just have one in your hand, but don't sip and then take like 3 times the normal amount of vitamin B12 so that when you have it in your system, it goes through you quickly. And drink a lot of water. 3 times the amount of water to the alcohol. Take it from me. Does any Oakland's officials act like, I don't want to say that. Okay. I mean, look, I know and in a number of cases love officials. I have nothing personally against the mayor, but this is professional or it's not business. There's nothing, it's nothing personal. It's only business. You should know, Godfather. It is nothing personal. It is only business. So F1 Las Vegas Grand Prix will be a champagne ocean. Sure will. Oh my, you got that completely correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, hey, anybody want to come in? I'm copying and I'm pasting. Here's the invite. All right. Here it is again. Bam. Bam. There it is again. Bam. Bam City. Come on in. State your piece. Love me or hate me. I don't care. Just don't be nasty. And don't make it about me. Let's talk about the situation. Okay. Because we have some really interesting developments. All right. We have the Tampa Bay Devil Rays and what is their ballpark situation, right? Looks like the Brewers ballpark situation is on its way to getting settled. Tampa Bay Rays not ready to commit to St. Pete, but that was January. All right. Now their attendance is up 28% over the previous year, and they have their 30th in payroll at 74 million. Sounds familiar, huh? All right. And there doesn't seem to be anything new in the news on that. Let me see. Looking down here, and I have to do some research to find out exactly where the Rays are. Can you say Oakland Devil Rays? Why not? All right. Now we're just waiting for the Brightline bullet train fed money by year's end to start this. Yeah, that is going to be the bloodline from which new tourist money flows into Las Vegas. Watch. Oh my goodness. And now here's a bet. I'll bet you that Brightline finds a way to snake the track right up to where the ballpark is. How much you want to bet that doesn't happen? Some kind of way they'll figure that out. Because that ballpark location is also a perfect hotel annex. You will have the newly rebuilt Tropicana at the ballpark. You will have MGM next to it, New York over here, right? Right, right, right. Mandalay Bay just down there. Okay. All within walking distance. Some big city blocks though. But still, okay. Still, they're there. All right. Eric says what Mint Zenny is seems like there's always a quid pro quo. Yeah, and that's worse. There's another dynamic that I've had to think about, and it's the tendency of public officials to take your idea and try to make it their own and then take it to the elected officials. It's really nasty. It happens a lot in Oakland's history. And so it makes people not want to give their ideas to Oakland because the officials are so busy trying to figure out how to design it to make it look like it came from them. All right. That's happened to me a couple of times. It happened to me with the now former aide, of course, of Ron Dellums. I'm not going to mention his name. I stopped talking to him. I had an idea for KTOP, tried to fashion it to make it look like it came from him. Well, this has to be this. And he was slow rolling it. He did the same thing that Clint Bolden tried to do to me. I'm saying Clint's name just like that because what he did was wrong. All right. I don't know where Clint is. I mentioned it before, but he seemed to have acted like he had amnesia when I brought it up. But Clint had the Super Bowl bid book that San Diego had made that I got because an intern with the city, not my intern, but this person was bugging me for 3 straight weeks to have me hire her to do work for the Oakland Super Bowl bid. And I kept telling her, hey, thanks for helping me on the symposium. I really don't need you now. Wouldn't stop. Just kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it. 3 times a day. 3-week period. So finally I gave her this assignment. Okay. Then she gets the book, says she needs $60. I give her the $60. We get the book. All right. Then suddenly she won't give it to me. I'm like, I gotta go tell Clint Bolden. I don't, and they were working out some trick. This is what Oakland does to you. See, they don't want you to succeed. They, in my case, put up these games to play because some didn't like that. They perceived that I wasn't the right black person. I am telling you the absolute 1000% truth. Okay. Okay. And about how society is about black folks who know what to do in any situation, and why you have this dynamic. And when one of us gets something and becomes wealthy, they don't want to help anybody else because all the other people who doubted them made it clear they didn't believe in them. When they got something and they were so mad, they want to share. This is something that some people have alluded to, like when LeBron James talked about the crab barrel mentality we have as African Americans. We want to pull each other down. All right. What no one talks about is what happens when the person you're trying to pull down jumps up. That hurts us. And that dynamic has been powerful in Oakland. But guess what, folks? Where it didn't stop with any changing in the complexion of who is represented within the city staff. It just kept going on. All right. You cannot get work done, meaningful work for the city, with that going on. You have to have your little groups. And then it becomes to take on something like, what was that television show, Oz? You know, I'm not kidding you. No one wants to talk about these things. But there is a reason why Oakland doesn't work. It's not just at a macroscopic level, it's at a microscopic level too. So at the end of the day, all folks want to give as much money as they can to live their lives and keep work where it is, but they don't want to put any extra worker into helping Oakland because they're not encouraged to do so. So on the day that I needed my bid book, Clint goes whizzing by my I was sending the fax off to the NFL. And the Lord put it in my head, hey, he's got your book. I knocked on his door for 20 minutes. Not like sitting there like this, but just off and on. Because I had a meeting with Robert Bob at 2:00 that day. A Super Bowl meeting. So I wanted to walk into the meeting. I've talked about this before, and I wanted to raise that book up like it was like the head of the enemy, right? I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. And guess what? At the end of that 20 minutes, Clint opens the door. Now, mind you, he didn't say good morning to me that day. He was right by me. He didn't say, I've got your book, Zinni. Nothing. He had the book. I've never forgot that. The most important career project of my entire life. And did the city try to make it, comfortable for me? Nope, not at all. They were shocked. It was like, hey, we'll put these roadblocks in your place and we'll see if you can get over them. This is Oakland. All right. And they do that when you're not the right person running it. Just like Dave Newhouse told me when we were having lunch in 99 after I was put in charge. Well, it shouldn't be you in charge. It should be George Vukasin. Well, thanks, George. Thanks, Dave, who writes a book about Oakland sports team is leaving, but he forgets to write about, his role in it. Just saying, okay? As a columnist, just saying, okay? It's not, hey, I'll cheer you on, Zinni. No. That's why I had Monty Poole and Mike Silver come to my Super Bowl meetings. I didn't invite Dave because I couldn't trust him. You don't want somebody who claims to be a news person who's in your fold, but just there to write crap about you because they think that they know better than you when they don't know blank from blank. Here I am, eating breakfast with him. But I told him that George Vukasin, who was, rest in peace, my friend, had a Peerless Coffee, great guy. His son, George Jr., was on the Coliseum board. And he was so mad over the way he perceived Ignacio and the council going over his head and taking power away from him. He didn't want it, and he told me this in his gravelly voice. Hey, Zen, I really love you and love what you're doing, and I love that you're trying to get me in, but I just can't. I don't want to be involved with them. That's exactly how he put it. Okay. What was I to do? Have him kidnapped? Yeah, right. Yeah, and then they throw me in jail. Okay. So my point is, as much as I wanted to have him on the board, I couldn't do anything. Would George have been an added plus? Of course, he's George Vukasin. I had to do it with mirrors. Jerry Brown, who was mayor, who should have been helping me, was out there interviewing. He was with Harry Edwards, the famous professor from Cal, right? And so, next thing I know, Jerry had mentioned that Harry was going to be involved in the Super Bowl. And I'm thinking, no one told me about that. So, you know what I did? I jumped Jerry and I called Harry myself and I got him involved before Jerry could get his hands on him. I taught Jerry a lesson. You don't ever think you can punk me. And that's what they were trying to do. And Jim Stieg of the NFL told me so. That's why the NFL is taking such great care of me in terms of allowing me to cover the draft. They saw how Oakland was as far back, hear me, as far back as 1999 when I was trying to bring the Super Bowl to Oakland. Jerry showing up late, 20 minutes, Paul Tagley, but the commissioner never stopped talking about it. Roger Goodell was in the room. The NFL has given Oakland a lot of chances. A ton. Are you hearing me? A ton. All right. Let me get your comments here. I was thinking maybe the monorail extends to the station by the ballpark in Mandalay Bay. That's an exciting possibility. Keep in mind the Las Vegas monorail is owned by the Las Vegas Convention Visitors. You just gave me an idea. Thanks. Zinni, would you run one for mayor? I think with yourself. Oakland needs. I thought about it at one point, but I'm going back to something I believed in grad school. Politics is too important to be left to politicians. So I'm just not comfortable with that idea because it's a direction I don't want to go in. Although as much as I thought about as much as starting a Facebook group a few years ago, but no. And I have another set of reasons now. My mom needs me. Okay. We're all we've got. I've got my mom. Okay. A lot of her friends have passed on. So my priority, number one, has to be and has been directed toward my mother. Eric Sterling says, Zenni would first have to get rid of its strong mirror system. Yeah, with or without, and that needs to happen. Oakland has a can't-do mentality, which is bad. Yeah, it is. I'm glad you said that. That reminds me of a time when I was going to my office when I was starting working on the Super Bowl. There was a fellow there who said, "Hey, I hear you're working on the Super Bowl. Good luck. You're not going to get it." This is a guy who was working for the city of Oakland. I couldn't believe it. I said, it shook. It made me shake. And he kept it up. It was his personal objective to, taunt me on it, right? And I wouldn't know him. I just kept going. So on the fourth day of this nonsense, I decided to play a new strategy. I said, no, we're going to get it. And then one day, I decided to do this. I said, no, repeat after me. Super Bowl, Oakland. I said it out loud for everybody to hear. Super Bowl, Oakland, Super Bowl, Oakland, Super Bowl, Oakland. I kept saying, say it with me, say it with me, say it with me. Almost like Bobcat Goldthwait, right? Say it with me, say it. That was fun. But those are the things you have to do when you're in an environment where people don't believe. And yet they're collecting tax money from the city. Okay? That was the environment I was in. No one believed I could get the city to where we wound up as one of 3 finalists: Miami, Oakland, and Jacksonville. All right? That's why I thank to this day Monty Poole writing what he wrote when he wrote it, when he called out that the Super Bowl should be in Oakland, and talked about what I had to go through in trying to get it, and what I faced. And this is something that you really should read when you have a chance. Right here. You have to, $3 for 1 year, right? But let me see here. Let me check that out. Might be worth doing just for why not? Save $99 today. Continue with. I didn't know this. Facebook. I didn't know I could do that. That's neat to have for my system. And get green. And okay, so I have some sort of technical issue with that, so I can't do that. At any rate, it won't let me sign in, so I'm not going to mess around with that. My point is, in fact, you know what? I don't really need that version of it because I've got another version of it that I can read, and you can read too. It's over. Let's see here, Sports Business Simulations, I believe. If I'm able to have that up. I'm gonna have to break that up over again. But what Monty Poole did, if you have a subscription to the East Bay Times, yeah, here it is. Okay, here is the Sports Business Simulations version. All right, and I did that because I didn't know what the Tribune was going to do or how long they were going to keep it, and I wanted to make absolutely certain that I had a copy of what Monty had done. It's written in 2005, and he wrote, for the next 8 days, Jacksonville, the Florida city, unable to be Miami or Orlando, will host Super Bowl 39, thus making its first attempt to hog the international spotlight. That's what Monty wrote here. Okay. I believe that's large enough to see. It's not yet quite yet. Let me try this more. I'm doing this for you all, not me, so you can see it on the screen. There. Okay. I think that once more with feeling. Yeah. All right. Now let me move this over a little bit. If you can see that or not. And you can. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. And anyway, Monty writes, for the next 8 days, Jacksonville. Oh, I got all that. Okay, right here. Now it says, thus making its first attempt to hog the international spotlight. It's an opportunity for the NFL to see Jacksonville's act in the clutch. An opportunity was sought by Oakland and could have gone to Oakland. One man, Zinni Abraham, who attempted to facilitate a deal to bring Super Bowl 39 to Network Associates Coliseum, insists it should have been done. Yes, in capital letters, we could have kicked ass. Now the CEO of Sports Business Simulations, Abraham spent 5 years working for the city of Oakland, the last 2 as an advisor for the city's Community and Economic Development Agency, CEDA, where he reported to Robert Bobb, then the city manager. For nearly 2 years, beginning in late 1998, Abraham's crusade was to bring a Super Bowl to Oakland, which stepped in when it became apparent San Francisco might not get a new stadium and certainly wouldn't by 2005. With several local media representatives, including myself, serving as consultants, Abraham chaired meetings and maintained dialogue with the NFL officials who oversee the Super Bowl. After several presentations to league executives and NFL owners, Oakland was one of 3 finalists bidding for the 2005 game. Miami and Jacksonville were the others. At a November 1, 2000 owners meeting in Atlanta, the Oakland delegation, Bob, Abraham, Mayor Jerry Brown, Alameda County Supervisor Gail Steele, this paper's former publisher P. Scott McKibben, and others, received the news of its second ballot elimination. What went wrong for Oakland? The predictable. It was undermined by its eternally volatile mix of politics and sports. While Oakland could match or exceed Jacksonville in most significant categories, funding, facilities, access, hotel rooms, climate, it was undone by Mayor Brown's lack of commitment, as well as the acrimonious relationship between the Raiders and Oakland Alameda County. Brown was 10 minutes late for a scheduled 2-hour meeting. Actually, it was 20 minutes late, folks, in NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue's New York office, and left more than an hour early, Abraham said, leaving a newspaper publisher, Scott, to sell the mayor's city and the rest of the Bay Area. 2 league owners informed the Oakland delegation that it was, quote, hurt by some of the legal stuff, unquote, and Davis' relationship with the league and fellow owners, Abraham said. While the Bay Area offers 3 major airports and more than twice the minimum hotel room requirements, there were hurdles. The cooperation of San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, as requested by the NFL, was a challenge. He seemed to consider an Oakland-hosted Super Bowl a threat to future opportunities for San Francisco. The Coliseum required an 8,000-seat expansion, which was conceivable. Various sites in Oakland and San Francisco needed to be secured to host scores of league-related events. While the Bay Area hosted only 1 Super Bowl in January of 1985, Oakland has since been home to 3 World Series, a baseball All-Star game, and an NBA All-Star game. In other words, the Bay Area is more experienced than most regions for a major sports event. And it's far better equipped than Jacksonville, which is straining under the pressure even before 100,000 convened this week. 6 cruise ships, one of which barely passed its sanitation inspection, are being used to meet the hotel room requirement. Some visitors are being asked to bunk in Daytona Beach, 90 miles south. Prices are astronomical. That would never happen here, Abraham said. If Jacksonville can't get its act together and more horror stories emerge this week, the NFL may never return. And guess what, folks? It hasn't. For the moment, though, Jacksonville is on stage, having ousted Oakland and Miami 51 months ago. Why Jacksonville? Because the NFL rewards owners who play ball in cities that hustle. And because its team owner, the Jaguars' Wayne Weaver, and local politicians worked aggressively and in harmony to lure the game. One thing that stuck with me is hearing one of the NFL people say that the mayor must work in concert with the team owner, Abraham said. They should enter meetings and make presentations essentially hand in hand. Fat chance of that in Oakland. We're cursed with politicians on one side of the room and Raiders executives on the roof. They'd sooner slap each other than make eye contact. someday, some way, the Bay Area will host another Super Bowl. And they did, because that was San Francisco side. If Jacksonville, one of the most sparsely populated areas, 1.2 million in the NFL, can get one, why not Oakland? If Detroit, which opened Ford Field in 2022, is considered deserving, why not Oakland? The Super Bowl can be still be gotten if we get our political act together, Abraham said, or insisted. There has to be cooperation in the Bay Area, and they have to go after it aggressively. Is Gavin Newsom the guy to get it going? Maybe, but the next mayor of Oakland will have an incredible opportunity. Meanwhile, Jacksonville is on the clock for the city. Floridians were derisively referred to as being in South Georgia. It is a chance to step out of the shadows of its more inviting and glamorous neighbors. A chance blown by the Bay Area, even if it was a long shot. And I, again, to this day, thank Monty Poole for that, because it hit home, and it is so very, very, very true. And think about what I just read to you was in 2005, okay? Think about how much that applies today. Think about it. It really does, okay? And so get your comments here. See here. Fingers crossed. FG. Zinni is calling him out. Yep. Do you think Oakland would ever get an expansion team when the A's leave? It won't be. Kate, that's a great question. Now I want to say this. It's not a get. The question is, will the Oakland work to have prove that it has the necessary credibility, capability, and capacity to do it? It takes, in effect, the kind of cooperation that Monty was pointing to in his column, and what I've called to for years. All right. It takes a plan. And it takes, in order to have that plan, the necessary stakeholders. The Oakland Convention and Visitors Bureau. When I was working on this, we had the Oakland Convention and Visitors Authority. It wasn't authority, it was a bureau. We call it Visit Oakland now. They need to be front and center for any sports bid, because they need to do account for hotel rooms. They need to give you the necessary photographs and ways of in a concise way selling the rooms and the hospitality environment and culture that they have. They need to be thinking about how to promote it from the perspective of when the tourist comes in, what do they see in terms of promoting that event? In other words, when I get off the plane and I step into the terminal, I want to see banners about that event. I can go on and on and on about that. I've really become an expert in what to look for there. Okay. So they have to be squarely involved with the Economic Development Organization, which determines the subsidies, how can they can be generated with respect to events. And they need to make a plan, and then make the plan on a spreadsheet and quite literally drive that plan. All right. I'm going a bit too deep in the weeds, but you need this kind of task force, and you need public works there to determine which streets and roads are going to be clogged, which ones should be open many, many years in advance. You need to have all of that buttoned up so that you're not, when things go bad, at a place where, oh no, we didn't expect this. And the worst time to have that happen is if you happen to fall into getting it, and then you're not prepared, like Jacksonville, because that's precisely what happened. Although I have to be nice, because I love the Jacksonville people. Heather Service, who is my counterpart, an awesome person. Loved talking with her. The Jacksonville people were incredible, as have been every person I met in every city that has represented the effort to bring their Super Bowl to their city. These are great people. And so it's a great environment of people that I am proud to have gotten to know, if only for a moment in my time, but still some people like Bill Talbert in Miami that I still am friends with. So he's the head of the CVB, or, so fantastic person. Don't cross him in terms of business though. Ooh. Anyway, never been on that side with Bill. Okay. So, okay, here we go. Okay, now Says mid-February is when we see Las Vegas as best it's ever been F1. Are they going to change the name to the Vegas Athletics? I would think so. Yeah. Next year when they move out of Oakland, when they move, the name will stay in Las Vegas Athletics. It's about the brand. And then he says, I'd say 2025 they move out of Oakland. I would say that's about right. Yeah, I would say that's about right. That's about right. So, folks, and some of you will say, "Yeah, every time you come on, you talk about da, 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 da." But look, you know what? For those of you who will say this, I say, oh, by the way, he says the A's will win the World Series in Las Vegas. Mark my words, Super Bowl Oakland. But again, I keep putting out this, invite. As the old saying is, if you don't like the news, go out and make some of your own. You can come on and talk. So for all the viewers who say you're Oakland bashing, why don't you just come on in and talk and say your piece? My point is, you can't say that I'm saying something when you're afraid to say something. Texting is not talking. That's not having a conversation, folks. You want to have a conversation, come into the arena, show your face, talk. Let's hear what you have to say, okay? All right, one moment, please. Where was he? Zane, do you see a glimmer of hope for A's in Oakland? No. No. There's a process going on right now. Buildings are being built, money is being spent to make that happen. For the buildings to be built, I mean, with respect to the athletics and their ballpark. The process has started. Again, and I said this and I'll say it again and again. The time for Oakland to get it right was 2021. It had the world open to it. It dropped the ball. And then the commissioner said, remember that they were going to focus on Oakland in 2022? I mean, he said at the start of 2022, the commissioner, I'm done talking about Oakland. I mean, how many times do they have to tell you what they're going to do? I mean, some of the A's fans are begin to act like that night in Monty Python and the Holy Grail that kept losing his limbs and it's still going. I mean, look, get another team in Oakland and make yourself emotionally into a place where you can fall in love with the idea of a team being in Oakland, a major league team, so that we're part of the conversation. That's what you want. Because, folks, I'm telling you, the way this environment's changing around here, all right, as you begin to add teams, and you look at the teams that are in the older facilities, and take a look at what's left on the leases, and then those teams jumping ship when those leases get to their 20-year life, or think about it, like the Rays and others, one of those organizations is going to want to leave. And Oakland should be there to catch it or seek expansion or both. I argue for both. Oakland needs the exposure. Its economy needs it. All right, folks, I've got to go. All right. Says Las Vegas is the new permanent location for home in the A's for many decades to come. That's true. That's true. They've signed a non-relocation agreement. Now, Well, yeah, they did. Now, I'll be back, but I gotta go. Okay, folks. Thank you very much. Thank you for all of your contributions for being here. God bless you. I'm sorry for this bad news, but it would see what makes it good news is if Oakland comes up with a plan now and executes the plan rather than this. Well, how can we be nasty to Major League Baseball today stuff? I'll see you.